Guys, this is gonna sound crazy, but you are your own stoppage from getting your agency from 0 to 10K per month plus. It's literally you that's your own constraint and your own bottleneck within your business. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I can actually prove this mathematically throughout this video, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So first and foremost, the reason why I'm doing this video, if you will, is because I see a lot of people try to scale their agencies to that 10K per month mark and they don't understand why they can't get there. First and foremost, let's actually establish a couple of facts when it comes to SMMA. Fact number one is that with SMMA, there's only really two systems you have to master. That is getting clients and keeping clients. You have to first of all get clients and then obviously learn how to keep clients. Because if you keep getting clients but you keep losing them, you're never gonna stack up. And this is a stackable kind of like business model where you have to stack up multiple clients on a reoccurring kind of basis in order to stack, from 1K to 2K to 10K basically. So we need to figure out those two systems. But in today's video, we're actually going to figure out and kind of like talk about number one and why you're your own blockage in your business. So number one is obviously the getting clients bit. To get clients, you need to do lots of outreach. So this is fact number two. In order to get clients, you need to do outreach. But in order to do outreach, you need leads. In order to get leads, you need to find leads. So this is where the blockage actually really comes in to a person's business. Now, what I want to do is break down exactly why your own blockage and show you kind of like how I figured this out, because I came to this realization the harsh way, the hard way, if you will, throughout my entire years of like kind of like building my agency. So if you guys have been watching my channel for quite a long time, if not, I literally have documented my 3 years on starting my own agency, like social media marketing agency, and I've shown you the struggles and tribulations I've come across and why it's actually taken me 3 years to get to the point where we're at right now, which is multiple six figures at this point with the agency alone. So long story short, guys, just real quick, the reason why I'm saying that you're your own blockage is because of a couple of reasons. Now, most people start off an agency like this. They go and pick a niche. Normally when they're first starting out, it's like the local business niche, if you will. So that's like car dealerships, chiropractors, restaurants, gyms, dentists, real estate agents, those sorts of businesses, contractors, roofers, lawyers, those sorts of like cliche niches. Then they try to offer Facebook ads to these niches because they've heard like a guru say that you should offer Facebook ads. They then try to charge $1,000 straight away for a minimum per month for the actual services. And then what they do is they start going out and sending out cold emails. Now, that doesn't necessarily work as well as it used to, because here's what's happening right now. I'm not saying that SMA is getting oversaturated. It's just that method right there is dead and old. And here's what I mean by that. You're going to be your own constraint within the business, because this is kind of like getting popular now. I wouldn't say it's getting oversaturated at all. It's not oversaturated, what I'm trying to say. But that method there alone of doing cold outreach by yourself, doing all the lead sourcing, is because any Tom, Dick, and Harry, as I like to mention, as I said in my previous video, can actually go out there and actually get a cold email, like set up like a Gmail, a professional domain, if you will, and start sending emails out to businesses, because there's no real barrier of entry when it comes to doing that. Now, the reason why you're your own constraint to your business is, and it's actually so funny because I ask people like, where do you want your agency to be? And they normally say that that past that 10K per month mark, it's normally 10K, 20K, 30K, whatever it is. And I look into their systems, and I basically asked them about their outreach system and stuff like that. And I just literally turn around and said to them, no, you don't. Like, no, you don't want to get to that 10K. No, you don't want to get to 20K per month. And they're like, what? They just can't understand it. They're like, what you want about Monta? I genuinely want to get my agency to that 10K per month. And I literally look at them and I say, well, you've told me you have no outreach system. And if you do, and if they actually do, by the way, they actually don't have a consistent outreach system. Now, here's how you're basically blocking yourself and being your own constraint within your business. You are your bottleneck in your business because you're trying to do everything yourself. And here's what I mean. Let's pretend we take two candidates, right? One of them is going to go down the traditional old way that's following the gurus. And then one of them is going to use the hybrid system and work smart instead of working hard. Now, we're going to take them from both being, maybe broke, maybe got like $500 in their bank account, the absolute max. They've got no clients. They've only got Wi-Fi, a laptop. They've got the same script, the same offer to the same niche, which is Facebook ads to like e-com brands, for example. Let's just say that. Now, here's what's going to happen. This person over here that's followed the gurus is going to do lead sourcing and prospecting by themselves. Now, lead sourcing, prospecting, so finding leads and then qualifying those leads, both of those two jobs right there is like a 9-to-5 job within itself. That takes time. There's only a finite amount of time within somebody's day. Then they have to go about doing the actual outreach itself, which, The key to SMA, and this is the fact, and this is the second factor of SMA. The key to doing SMA is setting lots of meetings. But the way how you set a lot of meetings is you actually have to do lots of outreach. So in order to do lots of outreach, you actually have to have lots of leads. So you have to do lots of lead sourcing, lots of prospecting, lots of qualifying these leads, and then lots of outreach. But to take it to the next degree, you have to do lots of outreach that's actually personalized. Now, again, each one of those things I just mentioned within itself separately are like a separate 9 to 5 job. No wonder why you can't scale to 10K per month if you're sending 15 emails a day. Because here's the third factor of SMA. Gone are the days where you can send 100 emails, set 5 meetings, and then close at least one of those out of those meetings. Those days they're gone, they're dead. SMA is changing. This is why you're being your own constraint within your business, is because you're not cranking out enough outreach. Simple as that. If you're competing, let's say the two candidates, you've got 2 candidates, identical twins, for example, same life experience, same sales kind of like conversion rates, if you will, same sales skills, same experience, same script, same niche, same offer, same level of personalization in their cold emails. What's going to happen is if this person uses the guru's techniques, the gurus what are teaching, myip.ms to get leads, or going down the algorithm hop, the Instagram algorithm hop, where you go to Instagram and you find an e-com brand and you like click on the little drop down button and it recommends other brands that look similar through the algorithm. That's what you call the Instagram algorithm hop, by the way. Those are the slowest, most tedious, time consuming methods I have ever seen. And I actually jokingly say this, but it's actually so true. If grandmothers knew how to build a social media marketing agency, that's the methods they would be using, because those are slow, they're outdated, and they're very, very old methods, if you will. Like, everybody knows those methods. It's very slow, very tedious. It's not a great way to do that. There's actually a better way called reverse prospecting. So I take a look at everybody else in the market. This is how agency transmutation is completely different from everybody else. I literally do the exact opposite of what everybody else teaches. For example, they teach you to go and do cold outreach first. I teach you to go and do quote unquote warm outreach, or outreach to warmer brands. And I teach you to stack up smaller ticket clients first and then go after higher ticket clients after. They teach you just go and do cold outreach and try and land a $2,000 per month client straight away, a $4,000 per month client straight away, which is why most people are doing lots of outreach. They're getting very minimal results and they're getting disheartened. I know exactly what it's like sending out email after email after email and getting very little responses. And when you do get responses, it's normally, oh, take me off your list, or sorry, not interested, or I get 10 of these emails a day, what makes you different, or just straight F off, or just not interested. I know exactly what it's like when you're doing this all yourself and you're not getting paid for it and you're getting disheartened. And this is why the hybrid system wins every single time. Because think about it. 2 candidates, right? One of them's doing, cold outreach themselves, lead sourcing themselves. They're doing everything themselves. Lead sourcing, prospecting, first line writing themselves. At that particular point, when you're doing it all by yourself, you can probably only crank out maybe 15 to 25 real personalized emails per day, or cold outreach per day. This applies to cold outreach, or any sorts of cold outreach, because it applies to all of that, because cold outreach is just cold outreach, if you will. So if you're doing it all yourself, you're probably going to be able to only crank out maybe 10, 15, 25 a day. 25 a day, if you can do that, first of all, you're a G. I don't even know how you're doing that. Second of all, you're probably spending 6 hours a day doing that if you're really doing the personalization really well and you're actually qualifying leads from every single day. I don't know. Literally gonna take you about 5-6 hours. I literally had a message the other day from a dude that literally said he sent out 15 Loom videos, individual Loom videos, to 15 different businesses, and it took him 10 hours. And I was like, there's no way you're gonna be able to scale your agency to 10K per month if you're doing that. The agencies that are scaling to like 20K, 50K, 100K per month, they're either running ads, or they are, they've got an entire outreach team full of appointment setters, basically. And you're trying to compete with these dudes thinking your agency's broken, when realistically you're just not cranking out enough numbers. Your agency is not actually broken. It's not actually your fault. It's just that you're your own constraint within your business because you're not cranking out enough outreach. Now, this is where the hybrid system comes in and fixes this, if you will. So let's take it again, just real quick. If you're taking 2 candidates, one of them sending 15 emails per day, 15, and this dude over here is sending 50 emails a day because he works smart and he hires 2 virtual assistants to send 25 emails per day each individually. So 50 emails a day. Who's going to win realistically? If they both have the same script, the same level of personalization, the same offer, the same niche, and the same service, this person over here will always win. If he's sending 15 a day and he's sending 50 a day, This person is going to win every single time. Now, the reason for that is just because it's a sheer numbers game. Again, we need to establish this fact, and this is irrefutable. The more outreach you do for SMA, the more conversations you're going to have. The more conversations you're going to have, the more calls you are going to get on. The more calls you're going to get on, the more clients you're going to land, even if your sales skills aren't that great. And I can literally prove this mathematically. Let's say you have a 10% close rate, a very, very low 10% close rate. You should have at least a 20% close rate, but I'm actually going to be very harsh and say you got a 10% close rate. That means one in every 10 sales call you actually close. Now, if you take 10 sales calls, you're only going to close maybe, one client. Let's say you get 10 sales calls a month, you're going to close one client. But if you get 100 sales calls in a month and you've still got a 10% close rate, you're going to close 10 clients in that particular month. So who's really going to win? You see, this is not about like woo-woo business. This is just sheer mathematics at this point. Think about it. If me and you are stood on a basketball court, I like to use this analogy. If me and you are stood on a basketball court and you take 10 shots at the halfway line and you make all 10 of them, and I just come in and make 12 shots out of my 100 because I've taken more shots than you, I'm just gonna literally make more shots than you. It's just physically impossible for you to compete with me at that point, just because I'm putting in more shots. Even if we're equally as good at basketball or bad at basketball, whatever you want to say. But long story short, if you're on a basketball court, you take 10 shots and I take 1,000 shots, for example, I'm always going to win. Even if I take just double the amount of shots of you, I'm always going to win because I've got more chances to sink the shots. And that's what I'm trying to say to you guys. You guys are not taking enough shots on a day-to-day basis, aka you're just not doing enough outreach. Now, here's where you kind of the kind of like hidden benefit of doing the hybrid system. So the hybrid system, just for real quick, is where you stack up smaller ticket clients for cash flow. You then take that cash flow and you hire somebody to do your outreach for you. You actually put quote unquote appointment setters in place for you. These realistically are just first line writers. A first line writer is basically the person who writes the very first personalization in your emails, and you can actually hire these people for relatively cheap, literally $200 per month to $250 per month to write you 25 emails per day. Literally, and these are completely extremely high quality lines that they're actually writing. Now, here's why this solves the actual problem. It's going to allow you to go much smoother, much quicker, and much faster at 10K per month mark. Now, the reason for that is because you yourself are your constraint because of this. You're sending out cold emails, you're not cranking out enough of them, or cold outreach, you're not cranking out enough of them, and you're getting disheartened because of that. Because you're not actually seeing results, if you will. Now, the reason for the disheartening is because, number one, obviously you're not seeing the greatest results. Number two, it's taking you a long time and you're putting lots of effort into it. So you're putting lots of effort into it, but you're getting very little reward. Whereas if you actually hire somebody to do this job for you and you actually genuinely pay them money, because they have a financial incentive, they're going to be more consistent than you. Now, the reason for that is because people obviously like to work and then get rewarded straight after. As in, this is what I call lead measures and lag measure. A lag measure is basically where you actually put the work in and it takes maybe a couple of days or a couple of months or even a couple of years to actually see the results. For example, I started my agency 3 years ago and it's only up until now that I've actually scaled it to that multiple six figures and I'm actually, enjoying the fruits of my labor, if you will. That was a lag. There's a huge lag there, if you will. Now, on a day-to-day basis, if we take a look at like kind of like the micro level, if you will, on a day-to-day basis, what's happening is you're sending out cold outreach, but you're not getting paid for that. You're not financially getting rewarded for that, which is why it feels disheartening to continuously do outreach and not actually, get anything in return. Like maybe you're getting not interested and it doesn't feel nice. The reason for that is because you're putting in lots of work, but you're getting very little reward. Whereas if you actually eliminate this by actually hiring a first line writer, they're actually getting paid, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, however you kind of like pay them to actually do the actual job itself, which means they're financially being incentivized and rewarded to actually do that said job, which means they're actually going to do that job because they're actually getting paid at the end of the day. So all they have to do is put the input and they'll get the output. The input is, doing 25 emails a day for you, and you actually then pay them whatever it is on a day-to-day basis, and everybody's happy at that point. And that's how you're going to scale your agency in a much more consistent way and remove yourself from being your own bottleneck to get into that 10K per month. Because again, guys, a couple of facts of SMA. You cannot argue with the more outreach you do, the more quality outreach you do, that is, the more calls you're going to get on. The second fact is that everybody and their uncle is trying to do cold outreach themselves and they're failing for months on end, literally months on end, just because they're just not cranking out enough numbers. You need to crank out more numbers than what you actually think. It's actually slightly harder than what you think. Sometimes you need to send 500 emails to get one client, 1,000 emails to get one client, maybe 1,500 emails just to get a single client, guys. And that's actually known. If you take a look at like Facebook ads, like the amount of impressions you need to get in order to get clicks, how many out of those clicks, how many turn into calls, out of those calls, how many turn into clients, you will see that those are very similar stats if you actually think about it. It's just that cold emails take a long time to actually master, and it takes a long time to actually do because it's not as automated as like running a Facebook ad, which is why, you know, Facebook ads are expensive and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the couple of facts, as well as you are your own constraint. You're just not putting out enough numbers, and you need to figure out a way to put out more numbers, if you will. And the hybrid system is exactly how you do that. Not only is it the hybrid system the best way to do this, but it's also a self-sustaining system. And here's what I mean by that. Instead of you taking money out of your own pocket to pay for 2 first line writers, you can just literally go to Upwork, close a couple of clients, you know, 4 clients at $500 each net profit. So, you know, call it $600 each revenue wise, if you will. And then out of that, the actual gross profit of that, or the net profit, would actually be, you know, $500, because you can actually outsource that. Now, I'm not affiliated with Upwork in any way, shape or form, but this is exactly what I did. I went to Upwork, closed a couple of clients, if you will, you know, continuously use Upwork. And then I figured out the hybrid system. I then took money out of my Upwork clients, if you will, and then I actually used that money to just pay for an outreach system. As in a team of people, 2 people, sending me 25 emails per day to actually land clients. Now I'm sending 50 emails a day on autopilot and just getting on these calls and closing them whenever they're a good fit. If they're not a good fit, I literally just cancel the call. It doesn't actually matter because it's not physically me that's actually doing the work, if you will. Now that's why I say it's a self-sustaining system, if you will, because instead of me taking my own money out of my pocket and paying for my first line writers, why don't I just go and get a client for $500, for example, net profit, take $250 out of that and go and hire a first line writer for $250 per month. As you can see, it's self-sustaining. And then what you can do is build up this outreach, this automated outreach system through via cold, you know, outreach to get higher ticket clients. And once you land a couple of those, that system itself becomes sustaining as well, because now you can afford to keep your first line writers and stuff like that without even needing Upwork. So this is literally the quickest way to actually go from 0 to 10K per month I've ever found. And it's literally irrefutable, because you can't argue with the more outreach you do, the more calls you're going to get on. That's an irrefutable fact, especially when it's high quality outreach as well. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about blasting emails with a bland script. I'm talking about real outreach with real personalization that's very unique to that particular business owner. To do that at scale on your own is virtually impossible, and it needs to be done. So to overcome that, you need to put some sort of team in place where you can duplicate yourself to get more outreach done. And guys, that is literally why you are your own constraint in your business. And I keep seeing it over and over again. People try to do the lead sourcing, prospecting, first line writing themselves, not realizing that each one of those is like a 9-to-5 job within itself. And I'm the only person on YouTube that's screaming and ranting about this. And this is what I teach exactly in agency implementation, which is why some of my students are literally going from 0 to making like 2K in their first 2 weeks of joining the program, 0 to making $2,600 in 2 to 3 days or something like that. It was actually 2 days. Things like, no, it's actually 3 days. And then going from like 0 to making 1.5K or something like that in literally 2 days, and closing clients in 2 days, going from 0 to making 3K, a 3K deal within their first 2 days and 30 pieces of outreach done. It's literally insane, guys, at this point. And that's agency implementation. So if you're interested in agency implementation, the link for that is below. Watch the video, jump on a call with me and see if you're genuinely a good fit. And then we'll get you enrolled if you genuinely are, and it's genuinely going to help you. But this is the quickest way I've seen to go from 0 to 10K. And this is how you remove yourself from being the constraint within your business. Because think about it, if you're doing all the outreach yourself and you go on holiday for a week and you're not doing outreach, your agency doesn't grow. My agency will, because I have, you know, virtual assistants that are sending out these emails for me on autopilot. So I can literally step away from my agency and still get calls out booked on my calendar and just show up to those calls and close those calls. And that is what you call thinking smart and working smart instead of working hard, guys. I'm trying to get you guys to understand this. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you send me a DM on Instagram as well if you're confused about any of this. Also, if you're interested in agency implementation, again, the link is below. Watch the video, see if it's a good fit, and we'll get you enrolled. That being said though, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this, and please, again, think smarter instead of working hard, guys. There's too many systems out there that you can actually build to automate this sort of stuff. You shouldn't be doing the tedious $10 an hour task. You can't get rich doing $10 an hour tasks, which is, you know, doing outreach. Yes, it's important, but it's still a $10 an hour task. You can hire somebody to do that for you for $5, $10 an hour, or whatever it is. But anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.